It's a new year, time for plans and goals outlining the next 12 months of collecting. I have several ideas for what I want to do with the channel and with my collection. Stick around.
It's a long fly ball deep to right. Way back! It's gone! Home run! How about that?
Boom! Waka!
Marino was right on target. We are live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. There's a sellout crowd, of course.
Oh, did you just call it? And he does!
Welcome back, my friends, to Base is Beautiful. My name is MD, and today I wanted to talk about my goals for 2025. This includes my goals for the channel as well as just my overall hobby goals. So my goals for the channel are really pretty simple. Continue making videos, hopefully finding an audience, finding people who enjoy the kinds of content that I'm creating, the way that I approach the hobby, how I talk about these subjects, and getting more people to watch. It's really as simple as that. I've got 84 subscribers at the moment that I'm making this recording right now. I would like to have 150 by the end of 2025. Is that too much to ask? I don't know. We'll see. And I think in terms of how I approach the channel, I would like to be consistent with the release of videos. I'd like to do one every week and be consistent in doing that. And then each month, one of those four being something that has a little more production that goes into it, a little more editing. It might take me a little bit longer to put together, and I would probably be working on it over the course of the month. I think if I take that approach to it, I'll have something that's sustainable on my end. I can consistently be putting out videos, but also not getting worn down by the creation of videos. So hopefully I can find that balance, and I may end up fine-tuning things over the course of the year, but that's my plan right now. Now, at the same time, I'm also very open to suggestions and ideas from any of you who are watching. Are there things that you like about how I'm doing my videos, or are there things that you wish were different, topics you wish I would cover, or anything else? I mean, I'm completely open to suggestions and feedback, and so I'll leave that to you to offer any thoughts that you might have on that. I think big picture, one of the things I really want to accomplish is to get some stuff graded. That may sound like a kind of a weird goal, but I have several things that I've set aside and intend to get graded, but have not yet actually taken the plunge and submitted an order to PSA or SGC. I've never submitted anything myself for grading. The only thing that I've ever submitted was through ComC, and it was kind of handled on their end. So they did all the packing and all that, and I just paid for the submission fee. And, you know, that's great if the stuff is already on ComC, which were two items that I bought on ComC. So, of course, it made sense to, as they sat there in my inventory, to eventually decide, no, you know, I'd really like to get those graded. So I did that, and that was great. But there's a handful of things I think that I would get joy out of having them graded, because my approach to grading is not so much to, I've got to get this a Gem Mint 10. Like this Ohtani rookie card from the Heritage series is something that I'd like to grade, just because I think it's in excellent condition, and I like the image of Ohtani there. This is the only rookie card of his that I personally own, and I would like to have that card graded. And I think in this case, the cheapest way for me to go about it is to actually submit it myself, and whether that comes back a 10 or a 9, I can't imagine it being anything lower than that. But I will take kind of whatever whatever I get. And that's really my philosophy behind grading, I think, at this point, is to just take what I get to my purpose in grading is to grade things that I want to have a graded version of that card. I like this card. I want it in a slab. And whether it's a card that I pulled myself and I submitted, or whether I bought it already slabbed up, obviously that's, in a lot of cases, if you're not concerned about getting the top grade, sometimes that's the easiest and cheapest way to go about it. But for some cards that I'm seeking out of some particular players and some particular sets, there are not readily available cards already on the market very much for those. So submitting some stuff for grading is something that I'd like to do this year. Now, another goal that I have for 2025 is to buy a really big card. And for me, a really big card is something that is $500 or more. I've never spent that much money on a baseball card or any kind of sports card. The most that I've ever spent is $250, and it was that Tua Tagovailoa rookie patch auto. And that was money that was given to me for the intention of doing something fun with. So this is kind of a stretch for me to spend this much money on one thing in particular. I'm much more of a, how much could I do for $500 kind of person, rather than what one card could I get for $500 or more. So to even start to think in that mindset of buying something that expensive, that sought after, that rare, that it has that kind of price tag attached to it, is something that's different for me. And so I would like to do it. I've been saving up some money to do it, and I have some money in my hobby account that is ready to be spent, and it's now just a question of what am I actually going to spend it on. And I'm not going to sit here and give hints on that. I'm just going to figure that out on my own and eventually drop something here on the channel whenever I actually make that purchase. But I'd like to do that this year. Of course, I want to continue with my ongoing projects. I want to complete this Fernando collection, and part of this Fernando collection does include getting some of these cards graded. I want to continue with my Angels Franken set. That's represented by this Mark Trumbo back here. He just got kicked out. This black border Mark Trumbo got kicked out because I got what's it called? A 2011 Diamond Anniversary refractor, and that replaced this card in that set. I would like to add 75 cards to the Angels Franken set binder this year, and that really shouldn't be very hard to accomplish, because, at least from a price perspective, because most of those cards can be purchased fairly cheaply, and but it really is a matter of starting to choose more specifically which players, which eras do I want represented, what cards do I want to represent those players in those eras and those sets, and so that I'm crafting this binder in such a way that it will represent the history of the Angels and the history of baseball cards from 1961 to now, to a certain extent as well. So I do intend to add to that set this year. I want to continue with some of my non-sports card things, but some comic cards as well as some movie cards. I want to continue my director's project, and that's something that may not mean a whole lot to sports card people, I guess, in particular, but it's an important part of my connection with collecting, and so I would like to continue down that path. And the last thing that I would like to do over the course of this year is to really figure out my approach to collecting football, particularly vintage football. That's represented by this Haven Moses autograph here. I'm just, having autographs of players is one thing, but what is my approach to collecting vintage football cards? I know I want vintage football to be a part of my collection. I really enjoy vintage football when I've purchased it. They're on the list of cards that I really enjoy. But I don't think I've fully figured out yet what I'm trying to chase after, what I really want to pursue. I feel like I figured that out in baseball, but I'm not fully sure of what that looks like in terms of football just yet. So I want to figure that out over the course of this year so that I've got a little more, so that I've got a better approach when it comes to I'm at a card show or I'm looking for something online or I feel like purchasing a vintage football card. What am I really looking for? Is there something, does this fit within a category of stuff that I'm chasing or something to that effect? So those are my overall goals for this year, in addition to continuing to add to my 1992 score autograph set and to my 1981 Donruss autograph set. I've made some additions to that in 2024. I anticipate doing that in 2025 as well. But I also like I like having goals, but I also like keeping a little bit of an open hand when it comes to these things, because that's part of the fun of collecting. You know, I'm going to run across a video in March or April that shows me some card that I'm going to get excited about, that I have not to this point really considered pursuing nearly as heavily. But something about the video or the way that someone is describing it or just seeing it in a different context, in a different light, suddenly I have more of an interest in it than I did before. And that happens all the time. I mean, I did not go into this year intending to purchase a 1957 rookie card of Frank Robinson. That is something that developed kind of in the middle of the year as I was working out my list of people who had been connected with the Angels organization, and someone had a Frank Robinson card on one of their videos, and just seeing it in that context, the 1957 set had not been something I was particularly, that I found particularly appealing or attractive, just as from a design perspective. But that card jumped out at me. And because it had the Angels connection, it was easy for me to start to think about how it would fit within my collection and what I would want out of having that card. And so, you know, that's where I want to be with this. I want to have an open enough hand that I can pivot when certain things come down the line that really grab my interest and attention, but I also want to have enough things kind of down on paper that I've got clear goals in mind. And so I'm not just kind of coasting along and I end up with a whole box full of cards over here that I'm trying to sell or get rid of because they were random purchases that, you know, in the end, I just kind of went down a rabbit trail and I wasn't really connected with what I was doing in those purchases. And so anyway, that is how I want to approach 2025. I'm not sure. I've watched a few other videos. I know some people are putting out some goals or ways that they want to approach either their channels or their collecting this year. But I hope to hear from those of you who are watching about some things that you want to accomplish this year. And hopefully we'll be able to do that together and be able to share that with each other through this awesome medium that we have of YouTube. So thank you for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you next time.